Ralph Breaks the Internet holds the scariest scene of the year where Ralph walks into a comment section and reads the comments. No joke, I was petrified. What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. I love my comments section. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and today we are talking about, of course, Ralph Breaks the Internet. If you guys don't know how my reviews work, I like to talk about the good, the bad, and then give you my score. I reviewed Creed 2 last night. I'm going later on today to watch Green Book. I'm very excited, but right now, let's talk the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. So 6 years after the events of Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph and Vanellope, now friends, discover a Wi-Fi router in their arcade, leading them into a brand new adventure. I didn't know what to expect from this film, but I was very excited for it because Wreck-It Ralph is one of my favorite Disney films of the modern era, and maybe one of my favorite Disney movies of all times. There are so many themes that are explored in that film, and the characters, the relationships, all of that is so heartwarming. And then the end of Wreck-It Ralph is one of my favorite endings of any Disney movie. I just love that film so much. So I was worried when I heard we were getting a sequel, but I was also like, I mean, of course, the first one was so successful and so many people loved it, kids and adults alike, and I knew that if Disney was going to do it, they had to have an awesome idea, because to come out with a movie 6 years after the original, it's like, okay, why did they wait so long? Maybe it took them this long to come up with that idea and do it, and if that's the case, then awesome. And I'm here to tell you guys, once again, 2 days in a row, Creed 2 was a great sequel, just not as good as the original. I think Ralph Breaks the Internet is a great sequel, just not as good as the original. And that's not a bad thing. And that's not something that should detour you away from this movie, because Ralph Breaks the Internet has a lot of things going for it. Now, one thing that I was missing from this film that I got in the original is we didn't explore some of those side characters that we fell in love with at the beginning, but we did explore new characters, and I really liked our new characters. The best probably being the one played by Gal Gadot, but then you start to deep dive and it's, oh, that's Taraji P. Henson's voice, and oh my gosh, Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2, Alfred Molina is in this movie. A lot of great voice work, but even better characters, and that is a testament to the writing. I think Ralph Breaks the Internet was very cool and very inventive. One of the more inventive animated movies I've watched in a long time. I got Inside Out vibes. Now, Inside Out is Pixar, this is Disney, but this film, the way that that movie explored the mind of children and adults, this film explored the way that the internet works, and that's something that a lot of people were wanting from the Emoji Movie, just from those trailers. I knew that movie was going to be really bad, and I have to be honest, guys, I didn't love the trailers for Ralph Breaks the Internet. I watched the first one, I was like, okay. I watched the second one, I'm like, it's a little better, and I really like the princess scene. First of all, I wish they wouldn't have spoiled that, but I still didn't know if it could hit the levels that the original hit, and it absolutely does. The reason I don't like this as much as the original is because I didn't find the story as interesting as the first one, but this story has a lot going for it, and the cogs and the gears and everything working it, and the way, like I said, that they explore the internet and how they showcase the internet working, I thought that was brilliant, not just for us as adults, but guys, this movie is clearly made for kids and for adults, but mostly for kids, and kids are going to get a lot out of this film, whether you're talking about the way that characters end up treating each other and how they're learning those lessons, or just finding out how the internet works. The way that they visualized all of these situations I thought was brilliant, showing people going from one website to the other website, the spam and the ads and the dark web, all of that. It's like, yeah, every bit of this was so well thought out. I do not blame them for taking 6 years to make this film because it was so inventive, and I love that they didn't rehash the same plot from the original. It's a completely different plot here with the same characters that we know and love, Vanellope and Ralph. Both brilliant, but they went in a different direction. They brought us a new story. Now, did I miss some of the elements from the first one, such as some of the quirks and the video games and being with those characters that we really love, such as Fix-It Felix and Calhoun? Yes, but I did love the new elements that they brought us and the new adventure that they go on and the way that they go on it and how they explored what makes a viral video on YouTube. That's a big chunk of this movie. I'm not even going to go into the mission, because while it was a cool mission, I would like you guys to sit and figure that out for yourselves. But the way that they explored going viral on YouTube, especially that office scene where people are walking around and seeing all of the different things that Ralph is getting himself into in the videos, I'm just sitting there cracking up, and multiple people were laughing in the theater. But the inventiveness and the level of thought that went into Ralph Breaks the Internet is great, and a lot of the times you will get these sequels that are pushed out, and it's like, oh, this movie made money, and people like this movie, so let's push out a sequel. Ralph Breaks the Internet, regardless of what you thought of the marketing, is not that film. There is so much that went into this, such great characters, and just like the first one, it ends on a giant, emotional, and beautiful note, and I loved every second of it. But in terms of negatives, Ralph Breaks the Internet is just a lot. A lot of things happen. The plot goes in so many different directions to so many different places. I loved Wreck-It Ralph because while we do explore a lot in the beginning, we end up kind of staying in one place, the Candyland, the game. In this movie, we go from place to place to place to place to place, and it really feels like it never ends. There's just a lot happening. And not that it was bad. All of the stuff that was happening was good. I just don't think it came together and made as cohesive of a movie as the first one, but a lot of those elements still really worked. And while there is a lot of adult humor in this movie, there's also a little bit more childlike humor, a little bit more that appeals to young kids, and the princess scene. I loved portions of the princess scene, but then there's something that happens towards the end where they all come together and everybody's trying to save the day, and it just felt really kind of forced and shoehorned. And yes, it's Disney representing their own brand and floating their own boat. I get that. That's fine. That's exactly what the situation called for, I guess. But it felt like just a little bit too much and a little too on the nose. And like I said at the beginning, I just don't think the story in Ralph Breaks the Internet was as tight as the story in the first one. The first one felt completely concrete from beginning to end. This one, it felt like they could have twisted this and turned that and made a little bit better of a story, one that would have invested us just a tad bit more. But those are all really minor complaints for a sequel that ultimately really delivered, really impressed me. Ralph Breaks the Internet is another great movie in this franchise. One of the better sequels I have ever seen Disney or Pixar do. And all of those things being said, I'm going to give Ralph Breaks the Internet an 83%. Really good job by Disney, not just pushing out a sequel and shoehorning things into it. They took their time, they wrote really detailed things about the internet, and it was all so creative and inventive. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. What did you think? Did you like the sequel? Do you think it delivered? Do you think it was a bit too childish? Just remember that that's their audience. Their audience is kids, but as Disney and Pixar does, they like to deliver to the adults as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to stay tuned later today. Green Book, going and watching that here in about an hour and a half, so I have to edit this quickly. You guys are the absolute best, and I'll catch you later.